Hey everyone, welcome to another, or maybe your first, Pop-Up PD Schoology edition. On this one, we are going to be discussing one of the most versatile tools. I'm not going to say it's the best tool, but it's one of the most versatile tools in Schoology. This tool is essentially kind of where you can house a lot of your content that you're going to be delivering to your students. Throughout this process, we're going to go through adding and customizing everything that we can inside of Schoology Pages. Brian, Heather, anything to add before we go over what we are going to go over?
I would just say that it's kind of piggyback off what you said is, obviously you learned in the first 3 hours that you can deliver content by simply adding links and all those things separately, but Pages really allows you to kind of bring it all together and have all those resources and course content kind of in one spot for students to work through.
Yeah, I would echo that, Dylan. So I think that what's nice, I know when we were building the intro course, we really used Pages there to just keep things very clear and organized so that as people are engaging from home and having all different experience levels, it's really nice to lay it out in such a clean format. And that's really what I liked about Pages. And they're pretty easy to learn quickly and really make it look good.
Yes, I think that's what I like. At first, it seems like it could be a little intimidating, but when you get into it, it's kind of like almost Microsoft Word for page developing. So it's very similar to that. You're going to see that. So here's what we're going to go over. We already kind of went over what Schoology Pages are, and then how to add a page, formatting the text inside the pages, as well as inserting content, which is media from your computer, inserting links, embedding media using code, the embed code, or resource apps, and adding tables. Also, one of my favorite little features of Pages is the tooltip. So we're going to go over what that is and how we can use it in our classroom, as well as how simple it is to embed into a page. Also, again, although you're going to start to see, if this is your second or third Pop-Up PD Schoology edition, you might start to see some overlap, which is very nice. It's one of the benefits of Schoology. Throughout this, you're going to see some things that you're like, oh, that was in discussions. So you're going to see the same icons, the same tools being available throughout these different courses, as well as the intro, the 3-hour intro course. And then there's some page options and adding learning objectives. And finally, we're going to talk a little bit briefly about the switching to HTML mode. Oops, apologize there. Switching to the HTML mode and how to get out of that if you accidentally go into that, because that can be very intimidating. So I'm going to jump over into our test course over here. And right
Dylan,
here we have...
Can you share your screen?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I guess that would help. So I just went through that beautiful PowerPoint or the Google slide that we did. This is where I was going off of. So yeah, that would be step one whenever you're doing a professional development, is share your screen.
That was a really nice intro.
It was great.
It was so nice that I'm not going to do it over, even though there's that huge blunder, right? Failing forward. Okay, so I said this all verbally, so I'm not going to go through it again, but I am going to go back into this tab, and you may have seen this before. This is Brian's test course, and we've been using this throughout because it's really nice to see how it looks in a course. Although we still are saying build everything inside of resources and your group, when you bring it into the course, it may look a little different. So we're going to show you how that looks in both of these. So I'm going to scroll down here at the bottom. There is a folder called Building Pages. And I just to keep it somewhat organized. Here, where just like if you've seen in the other ones where you would add discussions and such, you go to the same part here, add materials, and you're going to add a page. Okay, the first thing you'll do is put in a page title. And then down here is essentially where you can put all of your content. Now, while this may look a little bit like Microsoft Word, there's a little bit more, obviously, that you can embed in this. So I'm going to actually exit out of this and go into my example. So I have an example page here. Let's say you already created a page and you want to go back and add content to it. You want to go over to the gear off to the right, click that button and select edit. This is going to get me back into my edit mode. Okay, along the top, you have your bold, italicize, and underline here, as well as bullets and number system. Number list. They work very similar to Google Docs, Microsoft Word in the same way. So you can either click the buttons first and type, or highlight the word and then bold that particular word. Although this is a heading, so I'll show you how to do that. It doesn't really affect that. Next to the number list, you can select the color of your text as well as the highlight color of your text. Okay, and off to the right of that, you have some more formatting. So with formatting, you have the strike through, the superscript, which I know math teachers are going to love, and the subscript, which maybe ELA teachers are going to love for the footers. So here you have some different options again as you go through this. And you have your increase or decrease indent. So if you're doing that, sometimes I have found, and I just showed, if you click, we're so used to clicking tab to go over, but tab, as you can see here, when I select or click the tab key, it actually goes down and outside of your edit. So here, you want to make sure if you actually want to indent, you actually have to go up here. Unless, Brian, is there a different shortcut to that, or is that the only way?
Nope, you're good. That's right.
Okay, so that's something you want to be aware of. If you're working in Google Docs, it's as simple as just clicking the tab key. Here, you actually have to increase or decrease the indent. And that would work the same for the number system. So if you want to increase and decrease the indent there, you can undo all that. Nope. If you can increase or decrease the indent with the number system, now that I had that highlighted, you would have to do that by that button, not the tab key. Then, of course, over here, you have your alignment. And off to the right, I'm going to skip over this part because we're going to come back to it in a moment. Over here, you have your paragraph. Before I said the bold wasn't really doing anything because it was a header. It's good practice, and we'll show you kind of, if you've already gone through it. In our course, we always start it with a header up top, the heading. So when I select that, now for some reason it's not going through. There we go. Selected everything. But when I select that, it's going to then change it to the heading. If we go over here into our test course, you can see this is module 2, or not test course, this is the first course. This is module 2. And when we click on Power of Resources, you can see up top, this would be our heading. Okay, and below that, we have some paragraph with our learning targets and the emojis. Is there anything that Brian or Heather, you'd like to add in here about the basic formatting of a page?
Do they know how to put emojis in, Dylan?
Oh, that's a good point.
Because those are really fun and really add a little bit of, I don't know, they add a little bit of zing to the page. I like them.
I do too. So on your Mac, there's actually a shortcut. A lot of people don't know this because it's very similar to your phone. You have to you hold down Control, Command, and your space bar. So Control, Command, space bar, and it's actually going to bring up your emojis. So it's the same set that you would have on your iPhone if you have an iPhone. So that's really cool. What Heather did was she found a target. So you type in target and, what did you type in? Bullseye? There you go.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Target wasn't in, but bullseye was. So I can do that again, Control, Command, space, and put a little emoji in there kind of as a bullet, but it also draws attention to that particular line. So that was a good suggestion there, Heather, to bring that in. So again, it's Control, Command, space, and that'll bring up your options on your Mac.
The only thing I wanted to add was that what Dylan just went over, that, I guess, menu formatting bar across the top, you're going to see that consistently across some different things. So you'll see it in discussions and you'll see it some other places. So as you kind of mentioned before, some of these will repeat, but it's only going to kind of keep things uniform across the different types of content that you're going to put in.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. As I said in the intro, when I wasn't sharing my screen, a lot of these things that you guys are going to see over these 6 pop-up PDs or the 3 that you choose, a lot of it's going to look the same. So that's the really nice piece. Just like in the Google environment, where you're working in slides and you're working in docs, you start to see the same icons and same different formatting tools. It's the same in Schoology. Okay, so now that we've gone through the top, I said I wanted to skip over this part up here because you can actually do a little bit more here than just formatting text. The first one in there is your link. Okay, you can do this 2 ways. You can insert a link without any text first. So if I click right here and I just want to insert a link, I can put in the link here. That's the URL I want to put in first. And below that, I can put the title. So I put in my URL at the top, title below, click insert, and there it is. The other way to do that is first highlighting a word and then clicking link. And you can see that your title is automatically that word. And you can then put in your URL there. So 2 ways you can do it without text at first, or you can just highlight that word. That's usually the second way is the way I do it, but it doesn't matter. Either way, you're still going to be able to insert that link. Okay, the next tool is probably the most powerful tool here because it allows you to insert content from other resources. So when I click on this button right here, the first one is inserting an image or media. So if I just click right on that, it's going to take me to this options where I have upload media or from the web. If I do attach file, you can see here that you have a max of 100 megabytes, what that means is you probably won't be able to put a huge video, a 20-minute long video in here. But a 2 to 3 minute long video, you wouldn't actually have to store in your Google Drive. You could actually bring it in right from your computer. When you click attach file here, you can bring in a picture. Let's say one of our pictures, since we're doing building pages, I'm going to open that one up. And you can see the picture comes in right there. So you'll be able to embed images directly from your desktop or directly from a folder on your Mac without having to use Google Drive as a third party if you'd like. The other option is from the web. So you have two different types. You have an image or a media. If you go to, let's say, if you go to Google Images and you search an image, you can right-click that image. I guess I can pull something up. All right. Let's say a water cycle. Trying to think of one that's not going to give me any inappropriate pictures, but you never know. All right, so I like this one right here. If I click on this, I can actually right-click, and then I want to copy the image address. All right, down there is copy image address. Go back in here, and let's see if that works. I would think that. There it is. Wow. Okay, so it's really big, which I'll show you how to then change by simply just dragging this down like this. And although this one is really big, so it's a little bit more appropriately sized. You can click on this button right here, and this can bring it in. But Brian, this doesn't have locked resolution, correct? Like, so no. I can just change one, and it's going to completely distort it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm not going to do that. It's always best practice whenever resizing to ignore these and these. The ones on the top and bottom, the ones on the left and right, always go from the side because it keeps the same dimensions. So there we go. That's one way to insert an image directly from a website. So all I did was clicked on that and right-click and copy image address and bring that right in. All right. Below, always practicing good digital citizenship. It does say this images may be subject to copyright. So we should learn more. And in Schoology, we should be putting underneath where we got that image from and citing it. Even though this isn't directly public that anybody off the streets can come in and see it, your students will be able to see this, and it's always good to practice any or all digital citizenship. Right, Heather?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you added that, Dylan. I was even going to suggest, is there a way that those images can be linked back to their original source? That would be another way to, give credit.
Yeah. I'd imagine you can just click on this image. And Brian, can you link images?
I actually have never tried to link an image in Pages, but it looks like you're able to.
Yeah, so I'm going to go back here. I'm going to, instead of copying the image address, I'm going to copy the link address this time. And I'm going to go over here and just paste it and insert. And it certainly looks, I don't know, maybe if I save changes, we can look at it from this standpoint and see. Yeah, I clicked on the link and it takes me right in. So that's a good practice too, like Heather just said.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I've been thinking about Google Docs and how you have you can automatically insert those images and it will automatically link it for you. And, almost these pages remind me of like a hyperdocs. I think you said that earlier, Dylan. So that's what I was thinking of. So if it works, that's another thing you can do.
Yeah. And one thing that even like, while this isn't citing completely, sometimes what I'll do is I'll just do, retrieved from, and then put the URL right below it. Like it's really simple. Right. In fact, I still have that URL. Oh, yeah. You don't want to put that, but you want to find the actual website by clicking on that and taking you to the website. You only have to put, if this is from pmm.nasa.gov, I would just put that. But
I think that's a great thing to model for students too, as people evolve into kids creating content. It's a really good thing to model.
Yes. So the other thing, kids YouTube. Okay. One of my favorite science YouTube channels is Crash Course, which can be used K through 12. They have videos for young students all the way to high school students. So the other way you can insert content here is from the web, you click on media. And this one actually says link/embed. So if you go to a YouTube channel and you want to get,
hello there. Welcome to Crash Course.
And you want to find, okay, I'm just going to take the first one here. What is an engineer? All right. So here, you want to find the share icon. So I found my video. I want to click on the share icon. And here, the first one, you could just click copy, but that's just going to give you the link. You actually want the embed code. Don't let this intimidate you. And it is going to be a little bit lengthy, but you want to click on embed and just select it all, copy it, and bring it right over to Schoology and click insert media, and there it is. Now, Brian, you did find something out about our YouTube accounts, didn't you? Do I remember something?
Yeah, it seems that share button does not come up necessarily unless they're in incognito. So I'm not sure if that's something that is being blocked or but from regular Chrome, I don't have the share option. I have to open that link in incognito for that to show up, or in Safari or something like that.
Yeah, so like this is my personal YouTube account, so I have the share. So if you don't see that, one of the suggestions that Brian has is to go into incognito mode and find it. To do that, you just go to File and New Incognito Window, and then open up YouTube, or just simply sign out of your YouTube channel account. So either one of those options would work. But there is another option to insert YouTube. So that was the embed option. Over here, if I go to Insert, Image, and Media, you guys are all going to have the Google Drive resource app and YouTube app, correct, Brian? That's pushed out.
The Google Drive resource app will be there. YouTube was not pushed out, but any other resource app that you add from the App Center, which we talked about in that initial 3-hour PD, would show up right there. So everyone will have that first one, and then whatever you add as a resource app below that, Khan Academy, things like that, those would display right there.
Okay, awesome. So I only have 2 resource apps right now, just Google Drive and YouTube. So I'm going to click on my YouTube, Brian did say that the only negative thing about this is you can't copy and paste direct URLs. In other words, if you found one video, but it only had like 500 plays, you might be searching all through this to find that one particular video. But if you're just looking for a video on a particular topic, such as weather versus climate, I can just type this in up top. And here I have all the videos on weather versus climate. I can find one I like, click this little checkbox next to it, or you can preview it by clicking on this. It's actually going to open up in a small preview. Best practice there to, make sure that you're previewing first. And import. And this one you're going to import as embed. And then it's going to embed it right there. So if you don't have a particular YouTube video in mind, or if you're pulling something from like Crash Course that has hundreds and thousands, if not millions of plays, you should have no problem. But for those ones that are hard to find, that could pose a little bit of an issue. I want to pause there for a moment and see if Brian, Heather have anything else to add to inserting. We really just talked about media as it goes with YouTube videos.
The only thing I would add is, just really think about when you're building a page, just the aesthetics and what it's going to look like, because as Dylan just showed, there's a bunch of ways to add links, whether it's through the chain link, highlighting a word so that when a student clicks on it, it shows up, but really making some of those pop immediately so students don't have to click on anything. It's right there, and it's kind of a good way for them to look at the page and kind of know what they have to work through. So as he's showing now, you can see I have some different links we attached as resources, but then we also embedded things. Kind of, it's just right there in the student's face that they know that they need to play that or watch it. So just kind of balancing the both. You also don't want to put 10 videos and embed them all. It's a good way to mix the embed as well as regular links.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would reiterate too that, while you're still learning Schoology, building pages is something you can continue to evolve to. Like if you already have hyperdocs built that you use with students, you could very simply attach that hyperdoc to a page and a single video. So don't feel like your pages have to be super in depth to get started. And I agree with what Brian said. The aesthetics are important. You're going to have more engagement from students when they're very clear and organized.
And Heather makes a great point about the hyperdoc. So if you're confused or think about, why would I use a page or when would I use a page? A lot of you have probably heard of hyperdocs, and I know some of you use it, but that's the best way to kind of describe what Pages is, as Dylan mentioned before. It's kind of like a Microsoft Word, Google Doc builder, but it's so much more. So for those of you that are familiar with hyperdocs, that's the easiest way to explain what you can really do with Pages.
Right, and we want to be clear that a lot of this is content driven, and it's consumption driven. Most of the times there's going to be things that you can obviously, like Brian and Heather just said, you can link out to different activities and different things, but this is really where they're going to receive the instruction inside of Pages. They're not going to have to actually do anything or interact with anything besides clicking play or going onto a link here. So it's best practice. Keep this as organized as you possibly can. Like this one, not so much like the one I'm working in right now, just showing you how to do things. Kind of to extend off the YouTube thing, you can actually, and we just found this out, inside the Google Drive resource app, you can actually embed your, if you have videos stored inside your Google Drive. For instance, when Heather, Brian, and myself did pop-up PDs, we have all those recorded. If we wanted to bring them in, I would just click on this resource app. I would find my Google Meet, my Meet recordings. That's what it's called. There it is. I could find that. And inside here, I have all my different Google Meets that I have recorded. All right. Oh, for whatever reason, it went back.
Yeah. And Dylan, that was such a super simple workflow because of Google Meet automatically downloading in Google Drive, and then Google Drive being connected to Schoology. It was really quick and simple to repurpose those recordings inside a page.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's awesome. And I don't know which one it is, but I promise you it went to one of these. So this brings
Yeah.
up an interesting point. This is not an error. Like when you see this, this is not like, oh no, I did something wrong. This is how it displays in edit mode. When I click save changes and go back into this, you're going to see all of them are embedded. In fact, it's just the way, oh, there's the Google Meet. So it's just the way that Schoology has it housed. When you're doing it in edit mode, you're not going to see the thumbnail of the video. So don't panic if you see that. All right. So now we have link. Brian, is there a difference between the link here to the link here?
No.
Okay. So it's just twice. Some math teachers are going to be really excited here for all the symbols and the equation, the latex. Is that how you pronounce? Is that the math? Is that like math type?
Yes.
Okay. So all
You
of
get like your
those,
square roots and things like that.
okay. I wasn't aware of that one. So all of those things you can actually embed as well. So if you click on equation, it gives you the options to do all these different things. I won't pretend that I know what to type or how to type any of this because this is all foreign to me. So Heather, I kind of feel like you in this one.
Oh, thanks.
Well, with the math, I meant with
Oh.
the math. She's always making comments about the math. So like me with reading. All right. So I can click cancel and I'll cancel out of that. All right. Matt, is there anything that we want to add with the symbols, Brian, in your experience, how math teachers were using them and so on?
Not really, because one thing, you can use that embedded feature, but a lot of people already had their things already in Google Docs, or they used other things like Equatio, things like that, to create their documents. So they've even just linked them in a page using the shareable link of a Google Doc. So as Dylan highlighted the word differentiate and jumped out to another website, you could also highlight a word and jump that to a worksheet or something that you already have created just using the shareable link of a Google Doc. That way you don't have to spend more time starting from scratch and retyping it.
That's cool. Yeah. One of the other nice features of this is that you have something called this tooltip. So you can see here that students, climate, and weather are underlined. That's because if you click on them, I provided what they call a tooltip, but I really think of it as like a definition, but it could be something else. And when you do that, you highlight a word, go to tooltip, and you can type in this box. Click on the check mark, click away from it, and then click Save Changes. Now, what's really cool about this is when students go and they don't have to click, they can just hover over that word. They can then find out definitions. So you may have a new word that you're introducing in with a new concept. You could then put that definition right above the hovering word, which is great because then sometimes people will put definitions, okay, like all the way at the bottom, here's some definitions, and you have to scroll all the way back to the top. This is a great way to just include that right away. So as a student sees that, they're going to see the dotted underline. They're going to say, oh, I can just hover over that and I can get more information. So that's a really neat feature.
Yeah, I think that is really neat, Dylan. I didn't even know that.
No, neither did I until about 3 hours ago. Okay, so going back to kind of what Brian was saying earlier was that we have to organize this in a great, easy way, easy to see and understand for the students. So when I click on this, on a picture, for instance, I get this photo. If I click on this, it gives me options. And one of the things, and I don't want to go too in depth of any of this, but alignment. Alignment here, if I select left and then hit update, you're going to notice that it's off to the left. But what's also nice is I can type over here now. So think about this. If you have an image on the left and you still want to type over here, all you have to do is click on that image, select the photo, and then make sure it's aligned to the left or right. And then you'll be able to type justified right to the right of that text, or if it's to the right, to the left of that text or that image. So that's a really nice feature there. Is there anything else besides here? We have, just like Google Docs, you have inserting tables. You can do it the same way by clicking that and then typing in those tables. The other thing that Brian has often used, and I've used it a couple times, is just making that table in Google Docs and copying and pasting it over here. So either way, you're going to get a similar output, but whatever's more comfortable for you. So you can build that table right here. You can build it inside Google Docs and copy and paste it. So that's the other thing that kind of I'm thinking about, as Heather's saying, that your hyperdocs you haven't created. Don't feel like you can't try to copy and paste it in Pages and see what happens, because the formatting might transfer right over and it might be okay too. So Brian, anything you want to add for the table here? I know where there's some options, but it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, and I have found, like Dylan just mentioned, that sometimes it comes over really nicely from Google Docs, sometimes it doesn't. So just to reiterate what he said, absolutely try. So you don't have to, recreate the wheel or start from scratch. But if not, this has this ability that you can do that right in here inside of Pages.
Yes. And I know we're running, I think we're close to 30 minutes already. So I want to be mindful of that. Down here, you may have seen this already if you were watching discussions or other tools, especially in our intro courses. Same thing applies here. You can add a file. All of this will be attached to the bottom, though. Just remember that. So you have a file. You can add a link. You can add a resource, the audio video recording, or an external tool that you may have enabled in there. And how that looks, again, on the bottom of ours, we have our resources. That's kind of how we had it laid out. So we could add more resources at the bottom. We could add a file there for you to look at. Skip through this learning objectives right now, but at the very bottom you have some options, and there's one that we really want to highlight. So just like the others, you can individually assign them. You can assign these to particular groups, or you can assign to a particular person. Here, this is currently published to students, but the only students technically in this class, Brian, Heather, and myself. So we're just going to keep that published. But the big thing is, right now, you're going to notice that over here, if I go to building pages, I'm going to do this in this way. So the building pages, you can see it says example page here. If I go back into edit mode, and that's all you see, down at the bottom, you'll see this last option. It says display on a new page. That's what it's doing right now. But if I click on that, it now says display inline. What that means is, really what you're going to see is it's going to display your page inline without students having to click on the page. Now, I guess best practice would be I wouldn't do this for more than one of your pages, kind of like your intro to, okay, this is where I'm going to have my learning objective and maybe a video here. I'm going to display it inline, and then the activities are below. But it's a really cool feature, so students don't even have to click on the example page. It's going to display right inside the folder, which is really nice. And I know this is Brian's one of his favorite features, so I'll let him kind of elaborate a little bit on this.
Yeah, the display inline is really great, and like Dylan said, if you have a really long page, it might not be best to display it inline, but I've used it in the past where I attach a Google slide or a few things, Google slide and a video, and display it inline so they can see it without clicking on it, but it's not too much. One thing I will mention is the display inline option is only available for Pages. You'll see if Dylan went back to the edit view where he clicked on that button, it's the exact same icon that you would see when you're adding just a regular link. If you would hover over that icon, if you're trying to add a link, the option instead of display inline, I think it's display in a new window or a new tab. So don't get confused if you're in a link or something else, you see that same icon and you expect it to display inline. That is specific to Pages. So I just wanted to point that out, even though I wish the icon was different, not to confuse people, but I just wanted to point that out.
That's good clarification there, because that would confuse me. And I know what you mean when you're in there and you're creating a link. When you're in there, there are a couple different, not on this one, but there are some options sometimes if you wanted to display. Oh, I know, from the add materials you would be doing the link. Yeah. So if you were adding a link in here via right here, you're going to see the link, and down here it's going to say display in Schoology or display in a new window. That's not the inline. That's what he's referring to, right? Is that correct? Yep. Okay. Quickly go back over here. Oh, the HTML mode. That's the last thing we'll go over. So just in case this happens, because I know it's going to happen, it's happened to all of us. Up here in the upper right, there's a switch to HTML button. If you just click, now you don't necessarily have to click on either one of these, you just click in that area, it's going to turn it to HTML. This is great if you know HTML and want to really customize your page. Not so great if you don't have any experience with HTML. So all you do, if this happens to you, don't panic. All you have to do is go back up here and click that icon again, and it's going to immediately take you back into what they call visual mode, which is like the drag and drop Google Doc mode. So again, if you're customizing your pages and all of a sudden it goes to this, you accidentally clicked it, just go up there, click the dot so that the dots at the top is grayed out, and you'll be back into visual mode. So that's pretty much it, unless Brian, Heather have anything else to add.
I don't, Dylan. I think you did a great job going through all that. Being that I cannot see it right now, that that view in line, I'm going to have to go back and investigate because I'm having trouble visualizing that. So, but no, I think it's great. And I think Pages are a great tool. And it's a really nice, clear way to lay things out.
Yep. I think you did a great job. And, just to reiterate, is you can really get creative. And one of the reasons I like Pages is you can, just kind of use your creativity to build out a nice page for students to work through. And if you have completed one of the other pop-up PDs called Student Completion, if not, I would check it out at some point or reach out to one of us, because using the Pages piece along with this, because as Dylan said, it's very consumption-based, but what you can do is tie one of these pages to an activity following it, whether it's a discussion, it's something somewhere else, but it's a great way to kind of leverage both together.
Yes, I agree.
Yep.
And to wrap this up, just keep in mind that below there's going to be an assignment for creating a page. Don't try to do everything on this. Really kind of keep it simple. Embed maybe a video, embed some learning targets. When I say that, I mean like a top learning objective, a title, maybe some more information. Try displaying it inline and seeing if you like that as part of this. But again, don't try to do everything that we did in this video with external tools and all that other stuff. Really just think about the structure of how you would like a page set up if you were a student, and how would it be very clear of their objectives and meaningful to them. So with that, I think that wraps this up. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out to Brian, Heather, or myself, and we can definitely help you again when we get back in the fall. Thanks, guys.
Okay, great job, Dylan. Thank you.
All right.